This month's Miracle or Two monthly marquee is all about mystery, intrigue, and rapid fire comedy. We're spotlighting Cloak and Dagger, a fast paced musical comedy send up of 1950s film noir, created by Helen Hayes and Drama Desk Award winner Ed Dixon. Featuring four actors playing nearly 20 roles, Cloak and Dagger is a whirlwind thriller that takes audiences on a laugh out loud ride through New York City's shadowy underworld. We sat down with Ed Dixon to talk about the inspiration behind the show, his love for film noir, and what makes Cloak and Dagger an unforgettable experience for audiences and performers alike. Here he is, Ed Dixon. Hello, Ed. Great to see you. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself for anybody unlike me who doesn't already know you?
Okay. I've been in New York for 60 years. I've done 15 Broadway shows. I've probably done 15 off-Broadway shows, and I've certainly done 15 national tours. And I've probably written 30 works, both plays and musicals.
That's so impressive. And,
Well,
everything that
I'm
comes
very old.
well, everything that comes off your out of your computer seems to find a wonderful life. So we're thrilled to be representing some of your shows.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
our spotlight this week is on Cloak and Dagger. So give us a little intro to what Cloak and Dagger is all about and kind of the style of it, which I think is great fun.
Okay, when the 39 Steps first opened on Broadway, I saw it and I loved it. And I thought, I'd like to see a musical that uses this form. And I started thinking maybe I could do the Maltese Falcon and have four characters and everybody changing clothes every 5 seconds. But I very quickly realized that I was never going to get the rights to the Maltese Falcon. So I thought, really, the only thing I want to do is use the bullet points of the plot. So I thought, I'm going to write a musical about a down and out detective and a blonde bombshell who's trying to find the golden Venus. And I just sketched out what would be the bullet points of the locations that would need to take place in this 1930s New York story. And I just wrote down detective's office, the Bowery, Little Italy, Chinatown, the docks, Broadway, a burlesque house, and boom, 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 boom. That's the form that I used to write the musical. I decided that the detective and the blonde bombshell would always stay themselves, but the two character guys would play all the other parts. The Irish washerwoman, Mae West, the Chinese waiter, the Jewish agent, etc. And everything was to be an over-the-top caricature of each one of those items. And when I finally got to premiere it in DC at the Signature Theater, Eric Schaefer designed this fantastic unit set so a couple of doors could always stay there, and he would just fly in a Chinese sign or an Italian restaurant sign, and it moved a million miles an hour. And none of these scenes have any length to them, so it changes scenes, boom, 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 for 90 minutes. And the most important thing to me was that I didn't ever want to perform in it because the part of show business I like the least is changing clothes. So, of course, Eric says to me, well, of course you have to be in it. So I ended up premiering this show that I never intended to do. And he made a glorious production.
Wow, that was at the Signature.
Yes, yes.
So it's amazing. And so it seems to me like if it's moving that quickly, it's almost like the Maltese Falcon. You're like making film cuts in a way.
Yes,
Get
yes.
this story told, like bang, bang, bang.
And the best part is that in the finale, those two doors turn into the two doors of a cuckoo clock, and all the characters are running around while they're singing the finale. And every time you disappear behind the door, you instantly have to change into another costume. We probably only got them all right once in the entire run.
And some of the hilarity uh, is that kind of farcical.
When the nun runs out with half of her habit on.
Of course. Oh my God. But it just sounds like nonstop fun. As I said before, anything that's coming out of your off your desk, out of your computer. Of course, I'm thinking about the old-fashioned typewriters with this genre, but um, is going to be smart and funny as well. It's gonna cover it all, I am sure. And it sounds like it's actually a show that smaller theaters would just be able to do. It's certainly the costumes, but are they costume
A
pieces that
unit set and four actors.
yeah. And two, don't have to change those clothes apparently.
Yes.
It's such a great show from everything that I've heard, and but it is the kind of show that Miracle or Two loves to be a part of, delivering these smaller, really well written musicals to these theaters that are looking for something that they haven't done before, and I'm sure this should be on their list.
And with a name like Cloak and Dagger, that at least gives you a little uh, heads up about what's happening.
100%.
Yeah.
So for anybody listening out there that is looking for the who done it, um, that is sharp and funny and fast, this sounds like it's for them. Any other hints about production and how this show can go up with
Oh,
ease?
um, Jordan Ross Weinhold did fantastic orchestrations that there's only about four instruments, and they're fantastic and very evocative of the 1930s. So you've got, if you want, I mean, you could do it with a synthesizer and that's all, but he's got orchestrations beautifully done for four pieces if you want.
That's great. And what are those instruments?
They're mostly reeds and two keyboards, reeds and percussion.
Great. And is that what you did at Signature? That
Yes,
orchestration?
yes. Oh my
Incredible.
God, and the orchestration sounded fantastic.
Because those are acoustic instruments.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing better than a small band orchestra that's been well thought out and gives you textures and uh, creates a world that you don't expect, and you stay
Oh,
there
and
all night.
because it's reeds, you can get that saxophone that so brings up the 1930s.
We know it and love it, right? All those film noir movies where
Yes.
all of a sudden that sax comes in.
Mm.
Well, that's extraordinary. It seems to me this is a relatively easy show for a theater to make happen. What is the rehearsal process like um, for Cloak and Dagger? Like, what requirements, what matters about getting this onto the stage?
Well, first of all, let me just say that because Eric Schaefer is my dear, dear friend, the main thing that happened in rehearsal was we just kept laughing all the time.
And
It,
you were able to find clearly uh, great comedians,
it's so
actor comedians.
ridiculous. The plot is so frickin' ridiculous. We just kept having to stop to laugh.
Okay, I'd ask you about the plot, but you know, spoiler alert, I don't want you to give it away. I'm kidding.
Okay, the plot is it opens in a down and out detective's office, and he doesn't have money to pay the light bill, so the lights fly out, and then they come and repossess his desk, and then they come and repossess his chair, and he's completely down and out, and this blonde bombshell comes in and pleads her case to him, and he sets out to try to find to get to be with her and to pursue the golden Venus, this priceless treasure. And at one point, they all end up in the park together, and both of the character men have dressed up as the blonde bombshell. All three of them have on the identical red dress and blonde wigs. And the character men don't have time to take off their black shoes and socks. So it's fucking hilarious.
And
Oh,
music.
and as they're winding up the plot, they get swept out to sea on a raft, and then a submarine comes up underneath them and rescues them, and they're rescued by the U.S. Navy.
Okay, so
The
I'm sure
obvious.
I'm sure creatively you don't have to have a submarine, do you? In your
There
right.
was a periscope.
This is the kind of theater I adore.
Me too.
Peter and the Starcatcher, 39 Steps, where it's just so imaginative and so creative, and there's all these surprises visually, props, costumes, but you don't need really very much to get a big giant story told. It's
Oh, and let
amazing.
me just throw this in. They end up getting into cardboard boxes to float away from the submarine. And one of the characters is Mae West. So Mae West is rowing along in a cardboard box, just like you always see.
Oh yeah, you always see
Oh,
that with.
and I was Mae West.
Oh my, that was that your cameo? Was that a cameo for you?
I was one of the two character men.
No way.
Yes, dear. I
Really?
thought I just explained that to you.
But I thought he just gave you a cameo.
Oh no, I was one of the two character men.
Oh, amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is that the busiest show you've ever been in? Your own show? I
By far.
bet.
Like I
So
said, I
music.
don't like costume changes.
Well, so let's talk about the songs because you talked about 39 Steps, which inspired you
Yeah,
to work in the genre.
yeah.
But musically, how did you make sense of all that wildness with songs?
I kept trying to capture that period feeling. So the opening song, which I thought was so important, I really wanted to capture this bluesy, down and out, feel sorry for yourself 1930s ballad. And when I got that, I thought, oh, I'm really on the right track here. And I wanted to make a song for the blonde bombshell that was the equivalent of Somewhere That's Green in the Plant musical because I wanted to stop and have a beautiful, beautiful ballad toward the end of the show. So you got to see the blonde bombshell in a serious light for a moment, just singing a pretty, pretty song.
Yeah, yeah. So all the zaniness and sort of farcical things that are happening, um, are those built into the songs?
Yes, like when they finally end up going to a burlesque house, they end up singing a giant production number called Shake Your Maracas. And so these character men are getting to be burlesque players.
Okay, I'm not so clearly that was your favorite moment in the show to do.
Clearly.
That's great. It sounds just like grand fun, and especially for the actors doing it too.
Yes,
You
yes,
said you laughed the entire process.
yes,
That's
yes.
my kind of rehearsal process. That
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Yeah. Um, and so,
Oh, I do
uh,
want to say this. Because the show is 90 minutes, we were able to stop and laugh so much because we really didn't have to use every minute of the day. It was easy to schedule the show into the rehearsal time because it's 90 minutes.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And so these actors can get this under their belts, it seems like, quicker than you might think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of director would you be looking at to work on a piece like this, would you say, if someone's trying to find a director?
Somebody who has a a visual sense so that they're able to create all of this illusion without having to have actual set pieces. I was amazed by the ideas that Eric Schaefer came up with, how to change the lights and the sound system and the smog and all from one scene to the other. At one point, when they're in the opium den, he got the idea to fill the stage with smoke and have all these weird lights. When I first saw it, and there was glow in the dark stuff happening in the opium den, just the visual of it just blew my mind.
And it is always the simplest things, isn't it,
Yep, yep.
that make it work. And
Yeah.
people that can understand that kind of simplicity
And
and
that
clarity,
costs nothing.
correct. But it lets the audience's imaginations go right where you need them to go, I'm sure. Well, that sounds like a great show for creative people, um, to be able to kind of give their audiences something that they don't expect
Yes.
as well, something they understand. It seems kind of familiar, but creatively, it's on a whole nother level,
Yes.
which I think is very exciting. Um, and we all do love to laugh, so it doesn't get better than that.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about your love for the whodunit
Hmm.
musical, kind of musical, and what you've written in that genre, as well as Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger is not actually a whodunit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a
Who,
comical
who,
film noir.
it's where is it? It's a where
Yeah,
is it?
yes. Where are we? But
Right,
whodunit is a whodunit.
right.
And I love the way it came to be. You, Ray Roderick, came to me while I was doing the revival of Sunday in the Park with George. You were with Jim Hindman, and you asked me to meet you at a diner. And I thought, what is happening? Am I being called on the carpet for something? And when I got there, you said that you'd been to a gathering of small theaters from across the country, and they all said, if you could come up with a small whodunit, we'd all do it. So you said to me, do you think you could come up with a small whodunit? And I said, if all those theaters are going to do it, I definitely can. So I went home and I thought, now that I've said yes, what am I going to do? I remembered when I was in high school, my local high school did The Bat, which was very popular back in the 60s and the 50s. Every little theater did it. It was based on a book, The Circular Staircase by Mary Roberts Reinhardt. Then she rewrote it into The Bat. It was a silent film, was successful. Then they made it into a Hollywood film, and it ran on Broadway forever and made her richer than Croesus. And I thought, that thing has gone into the public domain. I'm going to take The Circular Staircase, which was written in 1900. It had like 100 scenes and 100 characters, and I slashed them all out. And I got down to the basic idea. There were six characters, and I set it in a mansion, a broken down mansion, scary in the country, and it's a unit set. Six people and one set.
And this show is a great show.
It's been done everywhere.
It is such a great show. And some of the ideas for songs are just brilliant and hilarious.
Let me
And
tell you my very first idea. I sat down and I said, okay, it's a whodunit. What am I going to sing about? And the very first idea I had was, it's harder to move a body than you think.
God, I love that song. It's hilarious.
And that
That
song
is
of trying to get the dead body out of the living room.
that is the greatest song. I mean, that's the one I remember the most.
Yeah.
That is just brilliant, and it's great comedy because it's so out there, but so true, right? It's just, and they all have their various points of view.
Well, just think about it. You've got several people on stage. A couple of them are women who are not young, and there's a dead body of an adult male in the middle of the living room. How the hell are you going to get it off the stage?
And that's the problem, if, especially in the theater, like someone dies on stage, it's like, okay, now we always forget a little bit until we have to do it. So that's so truthful and hilarious. Like, okay, now how do we get this body off? You know, like West Side Story, they did it. They just carried him over there. You know, it's like,
This doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but I've played a lot of dead bodies on stage, and I've played Charlemagne a lot in Pippin. And Charlemagne dies on stage, and they sing a gigantic number, and then he comes back to life. So I developed this great talent when I was doing 8 shows a week. I could die on stage in the middle of the stage, fall asleep during the number, and wake up at the end of it.
no, that's a talent. But you put that on your resume.
Oh, and in Iceman Cometh with Kevin Spacey, which was 5 hours long, they had me dead, drunk on stage during the half hour. So I was out there lying under a table for a half an hour before the show started. So I would always start snoring. And the guy who started the show would have to come over and kick me so he could start the show.
Well, you know, take work wherever you can get it. Under
Yeah.
a table, it's all good. What we'd love to do is be sure that your shows, um, and this is why we're doing this, can be understood by you and explained by Ed Dixon, because he's got a very special point of view in your writing that is always funny and always smart and always pithy. And you can write in so many different genres or, you know, in your way. And I think us celebrating that and letting people know this is why you want to be doing these shows, your audiences will be enlightened in the process of being entertained. So
I really
we're very
appreciate that,
excited
Ray.
to.
Thank you.
Oh, it's very true. Um, Everything you write is very smart and theatrical. So I think we need a little more Ed Dixon out there in these theaters. And let's see if this can help people understand why they should be doing your shows.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Um, so uh, I want to thank you for being a part of this series. And Miracle or Two is really proud to be representing some of your shows. And you know, let's just continue to let the world know that Ed Dixon's shows are there to be abused as in the lovingest way possible. Thank you, Ed, for sharing the story behind Cloak and Dagger. If you're interested in bringing this high energy musical to your stage, visit miracleor2.com. Stay tuned for more features in our Miracle or Two monthly Marquee series.